Hello, my name is Sandy Adomaitis, the social media director for the Page International Screenwriting Awards, and your host for the Writers Hangout, a podcast that celebrates the many stages of writing, from inspiration to the first draft, revising, getting a project made, and everything in between. We'll talk to the best and the brightest in the entertainment industry and create a space where you can hang out, learn from the pros, and have fun. Welcome to the Writers Hangout. Thanks for listening. The coffee of choice we're drinking is a cold brew from Hilltop Coffee and Kitchen in Inglewood. This iced coffee has notes of hazelnut, chocolate, and ground almond. Great for summer. Today's guest is writer extraordinaire Seth Cohen. Seth and his writing partner, Amy Pocha, are known for the NBC sitcom Undateable, Netflix animated Paradise PD, and the Head of the Class reboot for HBO Max. Seth is currently a consulting producer on Barzar, an upcoming Netflix animated series. Let's get started. Seth Cohen, thank you so much for joining us on the Writers Hangout.
Of course, and thank you for having me.
Your writing partner, Amy Pocha, has been on the podcast, and now we are lucky enough to have you.
I know, she left huge shoes for me to fill. This is a nightmare.
She's so funny. I adore her.
Yeah, she's the best. She's the best.
I have a question for you. Who came first, Seth Cohen of OC or Seth Cohen of Massachusetts?
Okay, great question. Love this already. So I believe I came first, and maybe older than Adam Brody too. I came first, moved out to LA. I even met some people. I just started out here when they were casting for the show, and I made a joke to them. They were looking for Seth Cohen, and they were looking at a blonde kid. And I joked to them, Seth Cohen is not blonde. And then the show came out and was a huge success. Clearly, I was out one night, and Adam Brody was there too. He was the actor, right? I'm naming the right person?
Adam.
Right. It was him. And someone saw a giant container of candy at this, wherever we're at. And I tend to like treats. They were like, hey, Seth, check this out. And he kept turning around, looking who was calling his TV character. And this was years after the show ended. And then afterwards, I went up to him and I just politely thanked him for giving me a good name all of these years on behalf of all the Seth Cohens. He was very polite and cool and was gracious. And I was like, I appreciate all you've done in the name of your fellow SCs out there.
That is adorable. And it's nice to hear that Adam is a nice guy. And I think the dad's name was Sandy.
Oh, well, there we go. There we go. This is the reunion the fans have been asking for all this time.
Okay. Actually, my real first question for you is TV shows. Growing up, what did you watch? And reflecting back now, do you think any of them influenced you for your own writing?
Good question. I feel like I spent a lot of my youth as an indoor kid. I was very thin, but kind of tall and gangly, and a lot of time in front of the television. Like, I feel like a lot of, I love that. Please, more, just pity on, I'm very heavy now. It's gone the other way. It's fine. A lot of time indoors. And I feel like one day my parents got cable, and there was Comedy Central was like a huge part of, I think, my bring of shows I watched. There were things like, and it was newish at the time, where it was sketch comedy, stand up, whose line is it anyways? And I would digest that. And then I think, as everyone did when I got more into high school, it was like Seinfeld and Friends and just classic multicams that really, I looked a lot like Chandler Bing at the time. I was a thinner Chandler Bing with a little bit of like Boston sarcasm mixed in.
I love it. You arrived in LA in the early 2000s. Can you set the scene for me? What was it like when you arrived? Were your parents supportive?
It's strange. I think it's strange for anyone. You know, I didn't grow up thinking necessarily out loud I wanted to go into film or television, because it's so foreign for anyone who says that out loud. And I think my My parents always knew I wanted to move to LA. They joked when I was in college. They took a trip once. They called me and they said, "Look, if we die in a plane accident, you can't move to California. You have to finish school." So I think they had an idea.
Yes. Did you drive cross country? Did you get on a plane? It's
I
hard to be in
did.
LA without a car.
Yeah, I luckily I think it was a negotiation with my family at the end of the day. The degree of I got a business degree from Tulane University, New Orleans, and
Congratulations.
I'm putting it to use daily. It's just a wonderful thing, just doing a side hustle of business on the side. No, I'm kidding. But it was the type of thing where I interned in New York for a summer, and then I interned in LA for a summer, and I just knew I wanted LA is just where the business is. The sheer quantity of TV and film is outnumbers New York so heavily that I literally graduated from school, packed up a car in New Orleans, and just drove to California by myself.
Now, you mentioned internship. Internships are such a great way to kind of get into the entertainment business. I think it's kind of like an avenue people don't think about. Say you get an internship at a production company or something. You soon learn that once you're there, people do want to help you. It doesn't matter if you're the intern. If you're talented and a good person, people help. Did you find
A
that, or
hundred
what
percent.
was your internship?
They were they were all very kind. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're an internship in LA, you have very little responsibility. I worked for Paramount Marketing in New Orleans. I was just trying to suck up anything I could in New Orleans.
Right.
There was a Paramount marketing internship I did. And then this summer I applied to, I think, 50 or 60 places, and 59 of them rejected me for an internship. And I used to paste them against the wall in my place I lived in New Orleans. And then one of them said yes. And I was like, oh my God, I'll move out here for the summer. And I found out you can live in, which I think still might be the case, fraternities. You can live in a UCLA fraternity for $300 for an entire summer.
I I had no idea. Do you have to be
I was not in a fraternity. I just found out it was co-ed at the time. They just have to apparently fill those rooms, and you're gonna live like an animal. There's no doubt about that. You're in a cubby, and there's ants crawling on you, but it's very cheap.
Yeah, but when you're 20 something, a cubby with ants, great.
Oh, of course. Especially $300 for the summer. I was like, sold. I can afford that.
That's amazing. I had no idea that that was even a thing. Where was your first apartment? That I know it's such an LA question, but I'm always fascinated where people first move to and what the situation is. Roommates?
Yes, I think I have an unusual maybe story for that, only because when I moved out here, I did the fraternity thing again because I'd met a couple of the guys that were now in the fraternity that were friends. And I stayed there for a second summer because it was, again, just $300. And then I had a friend that was moving out here shortly, and a guy that we had met. He had two friends moving out here. So there were five of us. So I lived, and we're like, is there anywhere we can get a place where five people can live? And we found like old, like almost like a 70s porn house up in the Donnas that the five of us lived in. It was a crazy first place to live. It like had like two stories and excuse me, like a jacuzzi out front. And they charged us $600 a month.
Wait, for five of you?
We each paid $600,
Oh,
which is still
okay.
the cheapest rent I've ever had, and will be spending the rest of my life trying to get back into that neighborhood.
The Donnas, for our listeners, is a bunch of streets where, for me, the Donnas are the way to get from the valley over to the other side, not using a freeway. But what are the Donnas to you?
The really random place I lived for a year and a half that happened to be close to Warner Brothers.
There you go. Yes. Warner Brothers and Universal. I was going to ask you if you had any practical advice for someone planning to move to LA, but your answers were just chock full of advice. Internships, fraternities. Is there anything you'd like to add?
I would say for someone moving out here, prepare to work hard, say yes to every opportunity that comes your way, have a little bit of cash, or get a job right away, because the city is expensive, and whatever you're thinking is going to happen will not happen on whatever timeline is in your head. but don't give up.
That is great advice and all really, really true. Disney made a preemptive purchase of your first screenplay. Congratulations on that. And could you tell me a little bit about that experience? Can you tell our listeners a little bit?
Yeah, that was super fun. Amy and I had just started writing around then, and we decided, hey, let's write a feature. And we had a low-level person at Bender Spank was hitting us up with a bunch of ideas in the guise of let's work together, which is a lot of what Hollywood is going out, finding whoever will cheerlead for you, finding people who
Mhm.
support you and think you can do something like, oh, are you funny? Maybe you could write something for us. And we wrote it on spec, which for us was fine at the time. So like we're having a hobby just writing a feature film at the end of the day. And for them, they're like, great, we got two schmucks writing a feature film for free. This is wonderful. And we wrote Golden Years, which at the time was the concept was grown up Goonies. It was what if the Goonies failed when they were younger and they have to come back and save the town and they're 28 years old?
That's really
Like,
cool, actually. I
it was
love that
fun. It was a
premise.
lot of fun. We had fun. It was stuff like accountants using spreadsheets to solve, mysteries in a tunnel for water filling, and like other just sort of spins on the tropes of that kind of adventure drama. And what happened was we wrote it and we're really excited. We worked really hard on it. We had a lot of fun working on it. And then the people at Bender Spank were like, all right, we're going to send it out to a couple of people preemptively before we go wide. And we're like, all right, that's nerve wracking. We've been working on this thing for so many months now. And they sent it out. And I think they called us and they said, it's great news. We sent it to 4 or 5 people here. I'm like, great. And they're like, 4 of them hated it. And we're like, that's wonderful. And then they were like, but the fifth person likes it and they gave it to Disney and they want to make you an offer right now. And it's the choice of you can either take one in the hand or you can go out and try to hopefully sell it wide and, maybe a bidding war. And we were like, oh my God, are you kidding me? One person actually likes it and they're prepared to buy it. And starting in 1 hour from now, we've sold the screenplay. We'll say yes to that.
I'm with you. Yes.
So we sold it to Disney, which was incredible at the time, just insanely incredible.
That is great. Again, congratulations. And
Oh, we're very excited. I think nowadays it's holding up some exec's desk who was like, I need 120 pages just to level it out, or some sort of binder under a coffee table to level it out. We're unsure what has happened to it, but still happy by the experience.
I haven't been around the spec market in quite a while, but just people don't realize you spend maybe a year writing something, and they used to like to send them out on Fridays, and it could all be over on a Monday.
100%. And the sheer amount of sweat equity that you put into it. I mean, we used to write features and you'd get a note that says, hey, on page 5, can we change X, Y, and Z? And Amy and I would go, yeah, that sounds great. That sounds like a small note. And then you dive into the script and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, we have to rewrite 115 pages because we changed something on page 5 that has this huge peristaltic reaction throughout the script.
Yes.
And that's why we were like, hey, should we write TV? It's only 30 pages for a comedy. And we're like, that sounds much better. Let's focus all of our efforts on that.
I know after you write a script and then you're just writing a half hour, you're going, 28 pages. Sounds good.
Yes.
30. Speaking of TV, is it true? Were you a PA on Friends?
I was a PA on Friends. I got that job because apparently another piece of advice for people is you have to tell people what you want. I talked to so many people, Amy and I, and people will say, people that we're trying to mentor, and they might say something like, what do you want to do in the industry? And they'll say, oh, I want to produce, but also I can act and I want to write. And you go, okay, that's a lot of things, but is it comedy, drama? I can do both. And I think I had at the time put out the vibe that it was people knew I wanted to work in comedy. And if you tell people that you want to do things like that, they may think of you when the opportunity arises. And apparently, I
Mhm.
mean, I'll tell a tale or two here. I got the job because somebody picked up Jennifer Aniston's medication and put a note in there that said, Jennifer, if you need anything else, please feel free to call me, and slipped her phone number into the thing with the medication.
Ooh.
Jen got really, I guess, freaked out by whoever had done that and sort
I
of
don't
crossed some
blame
personal
her.
lines. Yeah, of course. And then they called me and they said, you seem like a fairly normal person. How would you like to be a PA on Friends? And I said, it was their last season. I was like, that sounds amazing. Sign me up. So I got to work the last season there, and it was
And did you write Jennifer a thank you note and slip it? into
Yes.
her trailer.
I kept writing her the notes. She just randomly never picked them up as I tried to casually put them into brown paper bags I hoped were hers.
Oh, man. Did you ever accidentally stand near the writers and strike up conversations? How did it go? Were the writers nice? Did they?
They were very nice, and I think I was the writer's PA. Technically, was my title at the time, so I interacted a lot with.
Okay. I was thinking of a PA on set. But
Totally,
yeah,
there's
you
definitely
got to
things.
know the
Yeah.
writers very intimately, I assume.
Yes, as intimately as I could, as someone who was coming into a show that was a family for 10 years. I mean, I was,
Mm.
a fly on the wall for the last year of what was going on, but they all were super kind, and it was amazing. A lesson to see how a successful multicam works with just people at the top of their game, and also really fun.
There was a writing partnership on that show. Jeff Ash. Ooh.
Astroff, and I don't
Yes.
know who his partner was. Was he with? I'm only gonna take a stab in the dark. I'm not even sure actually.
It was Jeff. I just remember him and his partner saying that in the early days of Friends, that they would be there so late that when they were driving home, they would see themselves coming into work.
A great joke, and it is very apropos at times of working in a multicam. When Amy and I worked on Undateable together, there were definitely a lot of like late nights that we'd be up super late, but we loved that at the time. We loved being up at like 2 a.m. and trying to find that joke that would,
Yes.
help end the day. I mean, if you're going to be there and you're going to be there with a bunch of funny people, you might as well enjoy it. Sometimes it is torturous, but it is still, you're like, we're getting paid to write jokes. This is our dream job. So we always found a little bit of fun in it. Talk to us back when it was 4 a.m. I might have had a different answer as we were driving home, but in hindsight,
Yes. Speaking of Amy, who, as I
woo
mentioned before,
woo.
was on the Writers Hangout, do people assume you and Amy are married?
No, because she's much better looking than I am, and they know right away I couldn't have done that well.
Was that an odd question?
You know what? It totally isn't, because we do know some writing partnerships that are married, who we work with, John DeWalt, Alison Bosma, and people sometimes they ask if we're married. There's no doubt because we're male and female, but I don't know if it's assumed or not. I think also whenever we're taking a meeting, we tend to talk about our lives, how she's from Livermore, I'm from Massachusetts, and we talk about our spouses. And as they realize we're not speaking about each other,
Right.
as mine is from the deep south of Atlanta, an hour south of Atlanta, and I tend to use a southern accent to impersonate her, which is true to form. They're like, "Oh, you're married to other people."
What do you like about being part of a writing partnership?
There's a lot of great stuff. At the end of the day, there truly is. Working with Amy is a pleasure. We always joke that we have the world's smallest writer's room. There's always you and someone else to bounce ideas off of, or B, to rein yourself in. We're like, this is the greatest idea ever. And the other person go, that is garbage. And then the next day you're like, you were absolutely right.
Oh, I love that. The smallest writer's room.
Oh yeah. And it's the idea of having someone to bounce ideas off of, to help with the workload of doing things, to punch up each other's material, to come up with a great storyline. And also, whenever we're on a job and we're in a room, you have someone who has your back. It's like starting a new school. Every time you start a new job, you're alone. You don't know what everyone's like. You're like, is this person being weird? There are room politics. And we always know at the end of the day, we have each other's backs.
That's great. Thank you for that. That's really nice. Currently, you're a consultant on the Netflix adult animated show Farzar. Can you tell me a
Yes.
little bit about the show?
No, it's top secret. I'm totally kidding. I'm kidding. I was like, Amy, what am I allowed to say? No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I think we consulted on the first season. I believe it drops mid-July, and we've been working on the second season now, and it's sort of a Netflix young adult animated show that takes place in space. That's by Roger Black, Wigwell Gwynn, who did Brickleberry. We worked with them on Paradise PD. They're insanely funny. It is a joke-driven show that just is it's a big joy to work on, especially after finishing up Head of the Class.
I didn't know you were already in your second season. That is great.
Oh yeah, it's super fun, super fun. Good group of people, and it's just a fun show to work on.
Netflix has been going through it lately. So second season, good for you.
Yes, very much so. I think whatever's going on with them, there'll be a little bit of belt tightening, but I'm hoping that everything still plays out well for the creative community because they still employ a lot of our friends and we always enjoy working with them. We did Vandal with them, we've done PD now, Farzar. They've always been pretty good to us.
Could you explain what a consultant is?
Perfect. Yes, because I spent a number of years in the business affairs department. No, I'm kidding. I will do my best to describe whatever a consultant title is because it is confusing. It's normally strange. I think consultant overall has to do with positioning on the show. I could be totally wrong. Everyone who's listening is going to be laughing to me, but I think it's part of the way your time is divided up. Normally, some consultants work 3 days a week on a show. We currently work full time on Farzar, but we have some development going on, so we're allowed to do stuff like that. I normally think of it as part of what your first positioning is on a show, or else you could take a more solidified title like a co-EP or something like that. It's a little more nebulous, I think, to give you more freedom.
Right.
And
Yeah,
I'll be
that's
corrected by
exactly
someone,
what
I'm
I think
sure.
of it as. You get a little
Yes.
bit more freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And the other writers really, really pay close attention to your script, going, do they deserve consultant title?
Yes. Are they doing enough consulting? They've only been talking about themselves today.
This is my serious question, Seth.
Oh, dear
But you
God.
don't have to answer it seriously if you don't want to.
Sure.
Starting out, what was your biggest misconception of what it meant to be a working writer?
Okay, that's a fun question. That's a fun question because there's a lot of conceptions about what it means to be a working writer in Hollywood. And I'd say a lot of the misconception comes from any part that feels glamorous because there's the writer producer and there's the showrunner, and you get to write the show and you get to do casting, or you write a big feature film and then you go win an award or whatever it is. But I feel like the one thing they don't tell you is there's so much gosh darn homework. If you love homework, you will love writing because it is just, you think you have your weekends free, your holidays free, you are writing. It is a 24/7 job. It is easy for everyone on Friday to give you notes or say, hey, we'll get this done during the holiday. Amy and I were working on Head of the Class. I remember I was at Christmas at my wife's house the day of Christmas and literally being like, I need an hour at the table as we punched up the script to send it back to Bill and a couple other executives. There's always work to be done. Yeah. So a lot of homework. If you love homework, this is for you. You're going to love it.
It's the job for you.
Yeah.
And your mind is never shut off. You have to think about everything for tomorrow.
It's so true. Of course. Yeah. And you have to think about whatever the next episode is, or you're fixed to act 3, or even if you're just like, I think this is sharper dialogue, whatever it is, or move a scene, your mind is working. There's always something going on. And the fun part of television is something has to get shot at the end of the week. So you always have to be chasing that deadline, even if you're ahead, which is also great because then something actually gets created, which is why Amy and I fell in love with TV a little more than film at the end of the day, because you can see what you're writing come to life.
TV is so much fun to work in. It's fun going to set. As you said, it's so much work, but that energy, especially of a sitcom. I know on Amy and I had spoken about it. Because of COVID, you didn't get to shoot in front of an audience, correct?
No, yes. That was such it's a bummer at the end of the day, but we were so happy that we got to keep the show going and to keep everyone employed. But yes, every time we've ever worked on a sitcom, there's nothing better than you're playing make-believe. You walk onto a sound stage, there's sets, there's actors, there's wardrobes, there's set deck. There are a live audience waiting to see all these people perform. And then they perform and they laugh, and it's immediate gratification that everything is working. And when it doesn't work and you pitch a joke on the floor and the cast delivers it in a killer way that it destroys the audience and everyone is just dying with laughter, it's insanely vindicating, and the energy is incredible. And it's a very fun format to work in.
It's the best. I agree. Seth, thank you so much
Thank you.
all of that. I learned a lot in this in this episode of the Writers Hangout. Hey, would you like to do a pop quiz, or maybe I should say, Seth, are you ready for a pop quiz?
I am ready. Let's do it.
Okay.
Number 2, pencil in hand.
Okay. Now, Seth, I'm going to take you back to 2014.
Oh, dear God.
Yes. There was this show called Snack Off that you happen to have created.
Yes. Yes.
What an adorable show. I loved it.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, my buddy was in reality. This is when I lived in a not so glamorous place with 2 other friends, and one of them worked in reality and one of them was a producer. And we always had this 2 roommates, just messing around about a snack off idea. My 3rd roommate randomly took the idea and sent it to Rob Deerdick. And then we just got a call one day that said, "Hey, great news. MTV has bought the idea." And we said, "Excuse me, what?" And they said, "Rob showed it to MTV and they want to shoot the show." So it was a super fun show. And I do have a affinity for snacks.
Okay. You're at your office first day on a new show, and the PA usually comes along with a list and says, what do you want me to put on the list when I go shopping at Trader Joe's or something like that? What do you say?
This is a multi-layered answer, because I will secretly say I don't want anything because I know I'm a monster and everyone knows I want all the snacks. So I will tell them I don't want anything. Then they will discover all the treats I like to eat, or that someone is eating handfuls of peanut M&Ms every 20 minutes, peppermint patties on set. I love a good take 5. These are good, room. Most people like to have a little bit of nuts, a little bit of coffee. I love Red Bull, peanut M&Ms, peppermint patties. I love a good take 5. Cadbury products are up there for my favorites. I also like pretzels and chips, but chocolate way more. So I'm eating a tremendous amount of garbage all day long, pretty much on a sugar high, just running wild in the writer's room. Probably being obnoxious, who knows? But
you are my favorite person of all time right now.
At least enjoying myself. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be there at 3 a.m., why not eat 4 containers of peanut M&Ms until you feel really good, and then you're like, let's get to work.
Why do you think the writer's room, that Red Vines has, there's always Red Vines and not Twizzlers? What's up with that?
That's an amazing question. I don't know if I know the answer to that. These Red Vines, they're garbage. I think they're just filling, and people eat them, and it's sort of sugary, and there's a faux thought of I'm being healthy. I could eat the donuts that are in the other room, but if I eat a yard of Red Vines, I'm feeling better.
Yeah, and they come in that big bucket. I don't like it.
No, okay, no one wants bucket candy. Bucket candy is no good. Any candy served in a bucket, you're like, too many hands, no thank you. Give me a prepackaged peanut M&Ms.
I don't like group fish, and I don't like candy in a bucket. Okay. Back to Snack Off. I know you already said this, but I'm going to ask it anyways. It's the first question. We like to give you confidence here at the Writers Hangout with the first question.
Oh, you'd be the first person in the industry to do that. I'm very excited.
Okay. What network did Snack Off air on?
MTV.
Yes. Who was the host?
Eddie Wong.
Yes. Who were the judges?
Chrissy Teigen. We had, oh dear God, why am I blanking on their names? Oh man, I am embarrassed by this now. He's become a very big writer since then. I'm blanking on his name for some reason. And then we had a chef whose name was Jason Quinn. Oh my God, thank God. Oh, and then it's Yasser Lester.
Eddie, in the first episode, Eddie changed into what kind of outfit for the second part of the show?
Oh my God. Okay, all right. I don't know, but I'm going to make a guess that it was a food-based outfit, either of Cheetos or some burger. Am I 100% off? I have no.
100% off.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful.
Red striped PJs,
Oh my goodness, yes. All right. Mm-hmm.
which I really liked. And he didn't, I don't think he wore it again, but okay. Again, on episode 1, you had a prank food. Do you know what the prank food was in episode 1? Do you hate me?
No, not at all. It's just so funny. You know, in my 8 years recall of what this is, you're going to probably force me to watch them later. I don't remember what the prank food was. What would the prank
Would you
food
like
be?
a hint?
A prank food? Yeah, I'll take a hint. I'll use my lifeline.
Okay. Incredible, edible.
Oh my God.
Oh, let me think of another
Eggs?
hint.
Is eggs the word on that?
Yes,
Okay.
the incredible edible egg.
Okay, wonderful.
Are you going to Google that saying afterwards? And
Yes,
also
I'm also, you're forcing me to recall of what the air order was also as part of it. I'm like, which one aired first versus what they like, what we shot.
That's true. That's true. The egg was also cooked, and that way when the contestants went to go use it in the ingredients, they had to then scramble to put in another ingredient. Okay.
Yeah, we were truly testing their culinary capabilities in that moment.
How much time did the contestants have to make the snack in the first part?
25 minutes?
Yes.
Okay, great.
In the second round, the contestants had access to find ingredients in the blank.
The components of the show, I'm so embarrassed by this. The snack off pantry? That can't be the name. I'm sure there was something more punny.
Snacktopia? Okay, well, I'm doing a big X here. Hold on. Christy introduced the blank that would be used in their signature snack.
Is this the secret ingredient? Is that
it would be the secret ingredient. Both words begin with the same letter.
The mystery munchie?
Yes.
Is that really it? That was a shot in the dark of what it could be.
Be proud, Seth. Be very proud on that one. What did the winner win?
The golden spork, that I know.
And?
What did they win? They won and $500?
Nope. They won money, but not $500. You guys were
$300?
You were a little bit more generous.
Oh, did we give them 1,000?
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. That's great.
And there was one more thing, Seth.
That they won? They got the golden spork and the right to call themselves the snack off champion?
Nope.
I do not know.
A recipe in the snack
off cookbook. Yes. I think that may have just lived online, that snack off cookbook.
You know, I wasn't going to bring it up, but I Googled it and I couldn't find it.
I think that became that thing. Like, I think we owe them a recipe and a snack off cookbook, and it just became, we're going to make one online. It's available for 18 hours. Exactly. So, quickly adding up. I can't even believe you even watched. I don't even know where those episodes are. That's so funny.
I was able to get a 24-hour pass to MTV.
Oh, wow. All right. Very cool.
The episodes. And again, the show was adorable. I really liked it. And I would watch it today. So I think it needs to come back.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. I've messed up, I think, the scoring here. You know what, Seth?
I'll take a slight
I'm giving it to you all. I'm just giving it to you.
I'll take it. I'll take whatever the curve was. I'm happy to have the home run sound effect.
Yeah, I think you got 5 wrong out of 9. But I'm giving it to you because, man, that was 2014, and that's hard to remember that stuff. Yeah. But Amy got 6 right. She got one more.
Oh, she crushed. I told you, huge shoes to fill.
Yes. I would like to have both of you on just to do a quiz, and I want to have you two play against each other.
Oh, good God. You know what? Judging on our score right now, I don't know if I'm prepared for that. She's clearly the smarter one, is why I've hitched my wagon to her.
Well, we're going to see. Seth Cohen, the Seth Cohen, the only
Yes.
Seth Cohen in my book.
The original.
The original Seth Cohen. Thank you so much for joining us on the Writers Hangout. This
Thank you
was
for
really
having me.
fun.
Yeah, I had a blast. Thank you so much.
That's a wrap for the Writers Hangout. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, like, and thrive. Till we get to hang out again, keep writing. The world needs your stories. The Writers Hangout is sponsored by the Page International Screenwriting Awards. Executive producer, Kristin Overn. Producers, Terry Sampson and Sandy Adomaitis. Music by Ethan Stoller.